He stands to make 5 years, $241 million from the Lakers. A team like Brooklyn can get 4 years, 178. And with him and Luka together, they form one of the best backcourts offensively.
We haven't talked about Austin Reaves' contract situation on this channel yet, but after everything has come out, I gotta make a video. Because we're hearing that Austin Reaves wants a full max contract, every dollar of it. 5 years, $240 million. And according to people who are in the building every single day, he may not be leaving a single penny on the table for the Lakers. Now, when you look at who can actually poach Austin Reaves from the Lakers, two names come up. One name includes the Chicago Bulls, and the other one is the Brooklyn Nets. These are two franchises with cap space to make a legitimate run at him. And if he walks out the door, you got Luka Dončić standing right in the middle of his prime, holding on a roster that could completely be dismantled, especially if Reaves leaves for nothing. Now, there's a scenario where Laker fans are, losing sleep over right now. I'm not really included because I have my opinions on Reaves, but I'm just making a video on this. Losing Reaves might be actually a scary outcome for the Lakers because the reason why is because once you lose him, you can't really trade him and you can't really gain assets back. So you lose him pretty much for nothing. So that would be honestly the worst situation that the Lakers are in right now. Now, real quick though, before we get into it, if you're new here, the channel is called HoopKage. I did change my name a couple of times, but just to remind you guys, we're almost at 10K subscribers. We're so close, so if you've been watching, haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Hit that button. Let's help us get there at 10K subscribers. I appreciate every single one of you guys rocking with the channel. More content to come as well. With that being said, let's get into it. All right, so to set the scene, Brad Turner, who covers the Lakers for the LA Times, went on Spectrum Sportsnet and basically lit the match and started the whole fire, actually. Here's what you need to know. Austin Reaves has a player option on his current deal worth roughly $15 million for next season, which he's going to opt out. If you're Austin Reaves, you're absolutely going to decline that, especially when there's money on the table. The moment he does, he opens the market as a free agent. According to Turner, he wants a max, nothing less. Turner was blunt about it. He said he's not convinced Reaves is going to give the Lakers any kind of break. His words were essentially, from everything I keep hearing, Austin basically wants the max. Not sure he's going to give the Lakers basically a hometown discount, essentially. Now, that's coming from someone who sounds like, this team, every day. He's with the team every day. So what does the max actually look in numbers? So Reaves is only the 5th year in the league. He maxes out 25% of his salary, with next year projected around $165 million. That's put his starting salary somewhere around $41.5 million annually. The Lakers can offer 5 years and roughly $240 million total. Any other team on the planet, 4 years, $178 million max if they have a $60 million cap space. And that gap absolutely does matter because one team offers you 4 years, $178 million. The Lakers are the team that can offer them the most at 5 years, $240 million total. Now, this is where it gets messy. Because when people hear the words free agent Austin Reaves, their brain immediately jumps to him going to either the Bulls or the Nets jersey, in terms of the two teams that have a lot of cap space. But that's not how it really works. Lakers have the bird rights on Reaves, which is the NBA's way of saying they're allowed to go over the cap to keep their guy, essentially. They can offer him an extra year and about $60 million more than any other team on earth, essentially. Chicago and Brooklyn are the only two franchises that could even put a max offer to the table right now. And even though their best pitch is shorter and cheaper, so when you actually talk to people inside the Lakers organization, the mood isn't really panic. It's almost the opposite. Reports suggest that the front office has no real fear of losing Reaves, and Reaves himself has gone on record saying that he wants to retire a Laker. He even wants LeBron to stay as Laker. So the question was never really, can the Lakers keep him? The question is whether keeping him at the max money actually makes sense, and that's where this whole thing gets generally complicated. So to run the numbers here, Luka Dončic's next extension kicks in next season at 30% of the cap. That's just under $50 million. Stack at max, Reaves deal on top of that, and you're looking roughly at $90 million lock into 2 guards before you even give a thought filling out the rest of the roster. $90 million for 2 guys essentially, especially with a team that that needs to make moves essentially, right? And here's what it makes everything uncomfortable. Lakers spent the entire season being incredibly disciplined, whether it would give themselves room to add an elite role player or to make a massive swing at Giannis Antetokounmpo. We'll find out soon enough what the hell happens, and whether or not the Lakers either go for elite role players or they make a big swing. We'll see what happens. Which in today's NBA is generally significant. Resigning Reaves at the max doesn't just spends the space; it spends it on the exact same roster they already exist. And assuming LeBron James comes out and have a reduced number, something like takes a pay cut of $20 million, you'll be using one of your big swings at flexibility just to run it back essentially. Which last couple years, they haven't had playoff success. Let's be honest here. Yes, Luka Dončić was hurt, but even if he was there, I don't even think the team would be good enough to even make the finals. That being said, Bobby Marks laid out a version of this where Reaves starts at the max, but the salary steps down in later years to claw back at little wiggle room in terms of flexibility in terms of the cap space. It's a clever structure, but also kind of telling where when the smartest plans as respected can offer him pay him the max up front or get sneaky about it in the back end. That should give a clear picture of just how tight things really is, especially when a Rui Hachimura contract extension is upon us essentially, right? Because I think he's going to opt out as well, which we'll talk about probably in another video. So what exactly are you paying for if you Austin Reaves the max? A few weeks ago, the Oklahoma City Thunder just beat the Lakers in the second round. They swept them 4 straight. The series clincher was 115-110 beatdown, and OKC made it look effortless. What got exposed was the Lakers' lack of depth. They were getting carved by Chet Holmgren and Aaron Wiggins and that freaking TikToker. Now, while Luka wasn't on the floor in a series, which I am still pissed about Luka, but it's not here or there, you have to think about what looks in terms of Luka and Reaves' backcourt in the future, right? 2 guys who can both need the ball in their hands, and neither of them is making anyone's lives better on the defensive end because they're okay defenders, but nothing crazy. Some people say they're bad defenders, and it's not like the Lakers have nobody on defense. They do have Marcus Smart, they had Jaron Vanderbilt, but he's kind of a one-dimensional player. It still didn't matter. OKC picked them apart, swept them, and that's the uncomfortable truth about where we are now. When you have the 2 highest paid players on the team, highest usage rates players as well, both questions marks defensively. Even with Luka averaging a couple steals a game down the stretch, the margin for everyone else just disappears. So the question staring the front office down is brutal. Do you hand a guy $41 million a year, a number that climbs past $50 million by the end of the deal, to be the second option on a team that just got swept on the second round by the Thunder squad that barely broke a sweat when they beat us? And that's before you can even get in other situations sitting right, in the Lakers' lap, which is LeBron James. LeBron is also a free agent this summer. He made $52.5 million in the past season, and his deal is done. Think about last offseason. LeBron opted into his player option, is basically handcuffed the team essentially. It blocked them from resigning Dorian Finney-Smith, from adding a 2-way piece that could have pushed them in top of the West. They ended up a second round exit, and paying Reaves the max is in a lot of ways the summer version of the same trap. Now, according to Dan Woke over The Athletic, LeBron is generally on the fence about whether if he even wants to keep playing. not about which team he knows where he wants to be. The question is whether there's a 24th season left in him, essentially, which I think there is. But think about what he does regarding the Reaves situation. If LeBron walks away or retires, the Lakers just lost another 20-point scorer. Now you're asking Luka to carry a semi-rebuild in the middle of his prime, which actually makes keeping Reaves more important than ever, actually, especially if LeBron leaves the team or retires. But if LeBron comes back and wants real money, even at the reduced number, you're still only stacking the salary of a Luka Dončić at $50 million, Reaves theoretically $41 million, and the whole thing pushes the Lakers into the second apron territory, which is exactly what this front office has spent 2 years trying to avoid. Now, there's even whispers of the Lakers potentially trading LeBron in Cleveland in a sign-and trade, maybe getting someone like Jarrett Allen back. I'm not predicting that, obviously, but the fact is that the sentence, someone that can say out loud, tells you everything you need to know about how shaky the ground under the organization really is right now. Every domino leaning on the next one, and Austin Reaves is a first domino in terms of bringing someone back, essentially, right? Now, on the flip side of things, because it's just spent basically 10 minutes telling you that the Lakers are pretty much doomed if they re-sign Reaves at that amount and left it there, but there's actually some other parts of this video that I'm about to explain, starting with Luka Dončić, who played arguably the best basketball in his career, where he had high-level second creator behind him in Austin Reaves, and also in his career as well, someone who can run the offense. When you look, Luka needed a breather, someone who hit big shots when defense collapsed on him and take over stretches of the game. When Luka was running out of fumes in Dallas, they had two guys. First one back in 2022 in that Western Conference Finals run with Jalen Brunson. Then it was Kyrie Irving. That partnership took them all the way to the finals, of which unfortunately they lost in 5. People who watch the Lakers team closely make the exact kind of comparison that the Luka Dončić needs that second guy, second ball handler when he needs a rest. Reaves is kind of Luka's Kyrie in a way. Different player, same role. And it's actually true. You do not let a guy like him walk away for nothing unless you could get something back in return, right? That's the best case scenario, where if you can get something back in return that makes the team better, yes, I would do that. But right now in reality, the Lakers are probably going to have to re-sign him, unfortunately, right? But there's a comparison that, in terms of Rob Pelinka line wig at night, and that's Jalen Brunson. Remember him? Undervalued guard, living in bigger names, shadows, and his old team didn't think he was worth the real contract. So he left for New York for a 4-year, $104 million deal. Everyone called it an overpay. He's too small. He got lucky in that Western Conference Finals run. He's going to be a bust there. Stephen A. Smith included said that as well. Dallas created cap space, gave up assets, walked away with nothing. All that to hopefully sign Jalen Brunson. Now, they did get Kyrie eventually. That's not here or there. The Knicks just hired that man's assistant, that father's, as assistant coach, something you do to recruit a player in college. But here we are. And Brunson turned into a 3-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA guy, and dragged the Knicks to their first finals appearance since 1999, and might be on his way to win a championship. Dallas Nightmares was never paying Jalen Brunson. Their nightmare was too cheap to keep him, watching him become the franchise player somewhere else. So to flip everything I just said on the first half of the video, the real nightmare isn't the Lakers' $240 million. Is what if the Lakers got cold feet, letting Reaves walk, watching him become the next Jalen Brunson while Luka's prime slowly ticks away? Reaves is only 28 years old, right heart of it. He just averaged 23 points a game, and before he got hurt and all that, he was going lights off. He was very, efficient before he got hurt. He improved every single year as a player. You can look at the stats. Not that, in terms of, he's not even a finished product. He's still improving. That's a guy who might even, make the All-Star team next year. He's on pace to hit that. But even making that Brunson comparison has a catch, because the reason Brunson had the Knicks or in the finals isn't because he went to New York. It's because in 2024 he took a pay cut. He signed an extension that left $113 million on the table. He could have waited and chase a close to $270 million, he took a $156 million pay cut on purpose so the Knicks could keep building around him. The discount literally is the reason New York was even able to hold a roster together while the rest of the league drowns under new cap space rules. Bringing in Karl Anthony Towns from last year, trading for Josh Hart, trading for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks made those moves, and that's the reason why they're in the finals this year. Now, what is Reaves reportedly doing? He wants the max, no discount. And honestly, you can't even be mad at him because he turned down $89 million extension last summer, bet on himself, he was right, he earned every dollar of that payday. But that's a trap. The Lakers might get Brunson level production with the exact opposite of Brunson contract. All the upside of paying a rising star, all the cap pain of a guy who gave zero break to it. On top of that, I'm still mad about this guy because, he choked in the playoffs, but that's not here or there. We're hoping that he can maybe give us a pay cut, come in, pay cut or something. And, if you think about it, and if they don't, there's a guy like James Harden. Daryl Morey mentioned, he did say he's a liar and all that. Remember, Harden took a pay cut, chased a title in Philly, completely imploded on Daryl Morey, which is pretty funny. Didn't give him an extension he was banking for. The guy who built Harden into a max player, even the relationship cave. That's the world these stars kind of live in now. Now, with that being said, I have a lot to say. So, to end the video here, the real horror story here is the Lakers losing Reaves for nothing. Lakers overpaying Reaves is unfortunately the start move, but it's a doom move in the exact same move. They're going to have to do the right thing to bring him back, and it still might not be enough to win a championship, which I don't think it will be. So, in the comments below, what do you think? Should the Lakers just pay him the $210 million, or should they sign and trade him, or should Reaves take a pay cut? Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Drop your thoughts below, and if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. We're almost at 10K. Let's get it together. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.